This is episode 27 of the Battle of Ohio podcast, guys. The Browns may well have finished off this incarnation of the Pittsburgh Steelers, who look like they are headed for a rebuild. And even though Bengals fans even though Bengals fans obviously are not, the rivals with the Browns and whatnot, even we can appreciate a good dismantling of the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was the team that was decidedly overrated all season. We're going to talk a little bit today, a lot of it today, about how all that went down and what it means for the future of the AFC North. And we're also going to talk about the Bengals, who, they haven't been doing anything interesting playoffs-wise because they sucked this year. But we're going to talk about, they've been busy making changes to Zach Taylor's coaching staff and hoping to lay the foundation for coming out of the rebuild that they've kind of been. And, with this potential vacancy in the AFC North, seem to be coming out at the right time. So there's a lot to dissect this week, but it's always good when we can proudly and confidently sit here and say that the Steelers still suck.
And y'all gonna suck for another 8 months because y'all gonna be on the sideline for a very long time.
Welcome to the Battle of Ohio podcast, where we follow the revival of the historic rivalry between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns.
Oh my God, that image of Juju Smith-Schuster just sitting on the bench like.
So, Thomas, why don't you tell me what you're drinking today?
Unfortunately, today I can't drink any alcohol because I gotta work today and I gotta work tomorrow morning. So I'm drinking a Sprite, quench my thirst, because it's definitely better than quenching my thirst after a butt kicking. Steelers.
Yeah, no, that is definitely. You enjoy whatever the hell you want to drink after that performance. That was fantastic.
I would love to drink a beer. I drank a lot of beer last night.
Well, there you go. Right? What beers did you drink last night? Why don't you tell us that?
All right. Last night I had a couple of my Bud Light oranges, obviously. I had some. I actually had some Thirsty Dog Blood Orange last night, which is really good.
Yeah.
I had some rum and cokes, which is really good, and I had some Left Hand Milk Stout, Left Hand Peanut Butter Milk Stout. If you want to try a really good beer, Left Hand Peanut Butter Milk Stout, it smacks.
All right. Well, I was not drinking at all last night, but I'm drinking today because I got a nice job where I don't have to work on Mondays. So, that's always fun. So anyway, what I'm drinking today is, once again, I'm kind of on a roll with new beers that I found the Motherlode at Jungle Gyms, and that's fantastic. But I'm drinking something called a Victory Golden Monkey. I've never heard of this. But it's a Belgian-style triple ale with added spice.
Really good. It's really good.
Nose is loaded with Belgian yeast character of banana, and clove with an equally fruity body balanced with a light, earthy hop character. Savor notes of orange and spice followed by a dry finish. Mystical flavors to enlighten you. I guess. I don't know. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I can. It doesn't taste like fucking banana because that'd be gross. But I can see where the banana comes in. That is interesting. That is interesting.
Yeah, Victory Golden Monkey. That's a good brewery, good drink.
Yep.
Yeah, everything. You enjoy that beer. That's a good beer. That's a good beer to try.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it. 8 out of 10.
So I'm going to let you pick this week, Thomas. Do you want to get through the much less interesting Bengal stuff, or do you want to go ahead and spoil all the suspense and jump up and down about everything that we know you're about to jump up and down about?
Yeah. You know what? everybody, I want this to be. I want to just be able to rant. So look at the Bengals out the way first.
All right. That's fair. That's a good way of putting it, by the way. Let's get the Bengals out of the way, because this is the part that I doubt many people are really listening for. I guarantee you, all the Browns, obviously want to listen to you talk so much shit. I'd say most of the Bengals fans tuning into this podcast are probably most likely maybe kind of interested in hearing me talk about the offensive line coach, but probably also really interested to hear your reactions to the Browns game.
I
That's what I was excited about when I hit you up to start recording this. I was like, I can't
trust me, I am. But I'm just gonna hold it back, because the more I hold back, the bigger it's gonna mount. So you go ahead, you go first.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the Bengals then. The biggest, the most significant news to come out of the Bengals side of things this week is we did hire a new offensive line coach. Although actually we didn't hire a new offensive line coach. We hired our old offensive line coach to be our new offensive line coach. Frank Pollock has a really good resume as a head coach, or as an offensive line coach. He came here and what was it? He very short stint with the Bengals. He was only here for 2018, which was Marvin Lewis's last season. But the offensive line, which had been kind of declining for a little bit in play at that point, actually experienced a brief period of resurgence with a roster that's actually very similar to what our roster is right now. And they allowed the 11th fewest sacks per game in the NFL, which was 2.3. And Joe Mixon had a 1,000-yard rushing season. And also part of his title now is he's offensive line coach, and he's also run game coordinator. Kind of like how they do that in Los Angeles. Like Zach Taylor coming from Los Angeles, he was the passing game coordinator, and then they had a running game coordinator, so they kind of had like split offensive coordinator duties. And I guess that's kind of what they're going to have now. They're going to have Frank Pollock control the running game, kind of the way that Sean McVay had things kind of delegated in Los Angeles. But it's Joe Mixon and Billy Price, both guys who were obviously very cared a lot about what's going on with the offensive line, because it's your running back and your center. Both of them expressed a lot of excitement on Twitter when the news broke about Bengals hiring Frank Pollock. Joe Mixon just went absolutely nuts. He was like, yeah, and Billy Price sent out a tweet. He was like, yeah, that's cool, which is interesting because I don't even know what Billy Price's future is. I guess he thinks that he's going to be here next year, which if that's the case, then whatever, maybe he can experience, maybe he can see like a career resurgence, and, he can actually do something instead of be a gigantic bust. I don't know. But point is, Frank Pollock's probably about the closest thing you can get to hiring Bill Callahan without getting Bill Callahan. And then just as a update of what happened, like since he's been in New York, obviously the Jets have been terrible, but offensive line play this year in particular actually improved a lot with him, and they had the new left tackle that they drafted, Mekhi Becton out of Louisville, actually came on pretty strongly this year. A lot of it was due to the way that Frank Pollock kind of, bring him along in the system that he had him in. So I still don't understand why we decided to like why Zach Taylor was so insistent on bringing in Jim Turner, and why the Bengals didn't feel it necessary to convince Frank Pollock to stick around. Maybe it's just because of that whole run game coordinator title that gave him the extra incentive to come back. I don't know. Maybe he's aiming for an offensive coordinator position job at one point, but point being that, I don't understand why we moved on from him in the first place. But I guess coming back, that's great, like cut our losses and move on. But I still just I don't understand why we got rid of him in the first place.
I think a lot of things get confusing. when you're in a rebuild, a lot of times, you're trying different things. You said you went to the Jets, right, for a little bit?
Yeah, he
Was
was.
that what you said?
He when
Well, I
Marvin
mean,
Lewis got fired, he kind of got like he decided to move on because he didn't want to be part of a rebuild, which is funny because he went to the Jets.
I know
But
that's what I was gonna get at. So, at the time you go to the Jets, there was all this hype about Sam Darnold. Keep in mind, like Sam Darnold did have a lot of there was a lot of hype coming in about Sam Darnold. There was a lot of hype coming up about Sam Darnold. So I'm guessing like the idea was, hey, Sam Darnold has all this young potential, and he's going to be this great young kid and everything, and this great young quarterback. And then, it turned out that Sam Darnold is still a working project. But then you have Joe Burrow, somebody who isn't as much of a working project, somebody bona fide is going to be a great quarterback. I think, he's just kind of guy who's trying to find the next hot thing.
well,
And
I suppose, but
it
I
looks
don't
like
know. I don't know if I think Joe Burrow versus Sam Darnold, the potential for this offense, that might have been something. But I mean, he's coming in to be the offensive line coach and the run game coordinator. He's not really going to. I mean, he'll probably interact with Joe Burrow, but he's not going to really coach Joe Burrow.
That's true. That's true. But I mean, like you still want to be a part of a team that's ascending.
Well, that's true, and I will say one thing: there was a notable difference in the way that the offensive line played when Joe Burrow was in there, or versus when it was Ryan Finley or Brandon Allen. There was a huge notable difference because, like, obviously at first they were awful, and then over time they kind of developed chemistry with Joe Burrow, and you can kind of see that chemistry really kind of coming together. So that might right there be an enticing thing for Frank Pollock because he sees. He doesn't quite have somebody with that kind of mentality or personality in Sam Darnold, but he's got a guy in Joe Burrow who can help his guys get led where they need to go. So it's almost kind of like he has another person coaching them. One thing that really needs to be done, and part of the job's done. We got what I believe to be a great offensive line coach and somebody who's really going to take, a solid. They're going to make their mark on this offense because they're also the run game coordinator. So I really like this hire, and fixing the offensive line is really going to fix a lot of issues because otherwise we have a lot of skill position talent on this team. But you got to fix the offensive line, and you did a good portion of the job bringing in a really good offensive line coach, which never should have let go in the first place. But that notwithstanding, the past is the past, and Frank Pollock is back, and we can, I think, do a lot of damage with him. What we're going to really have to focus on doing though is we have got to still fix the talent on this offensive line. You're going to have to make multiple moves this offseason, and I think it's basically going to be. I mean, you can put multiple draft picks into offensive linemen if you want, but what I think you really need to do is you need to bring in at least one veteran top tier veteran offensive lineman, either at guard or tackle. It doesn't really have to be at tackle, doesn't really have to be at guard, doesn't have to be whatever. But whatever position that you get in free agency, that's the position that you don't have to draft in or you don't have to use a high pick on in the draft. So, like, for example, go get Joe Thuney, the offensive guard from the Patriots, I believe. And then you draft Penei Sewell, or let's say Penei Sewell gets taken before the Bengals even get on the board, then you can trade down and go get Rashawn Slater. And that'd be a really good pairing. And then so you got Rashawn Slater, you got Joe Thuney, you got Trey Hopkins, you got Quentin Spain, and you got Jonah Williams, and that's a really solid offensive line. But if you don't go get Joe Thuney, you could also go get Taylor Morton, an offensive tackle, I believe, from Tennessee. And he's probably the best young offensive tackle available right now. If he doesn't get re-signed, we'll see what happens. But if that happens, then he'll be the best, I think, offensive tackle prospect, except maybe Trent Williams, but you also don't really know what's happening with that. And also he's really old, so who knows how much longer he's going to play and blah, 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 blah. But I think, Taylor Morton's a good prospect to target. And then go get Trey Smith in the draft. the offensive guard prospect from Tennessee, I want to say. Uh, there's other guys. There's Wyatt Davis, and there's that other guy whose name escapes me from Ohio State. But after the whole Billy Price experiment, I'm actually kind of wary of drafting Ohio State guys. And when I look at their draft profiles, when I look at the way that these guys kind of operate, it kind of seems like the exact same red flags that we saw from Billy Price. So if we were going to pick if we were going to pick an offensive guard with a high pick, my pick would be Trey Smith. What I don't want to see the Bengals do is ignore this position in free agency completely and then think they could just fix the position in the draft, because that's what we tried to do in 2015, I believe, when we drafted Cedric Ogbuehi and Jake Fisher with our top two picks.
By the way, do you have time for breaking news for a second? I just got some breaking news
go ahead.
across my. The Philadelphia Eagles
Jake Fisher
has fired the Philadelphia Eagles has fired their head coach.
Good. He deserves that for that bullshit they pulled on national television. Are you kidding me? Good. Fuck Doug Peterson. That was ridiculous. You don't do that.
My God.
You know what I don't understand is why they took until now to fire him. Like, if you're going to fire a guy, get it done like at the earliest possible point, because coaches have already been interviewed at this point. I'm sure like the top coaching candidate might have already made up his mind where he's going. He didn't even know the Eagles were going to be an opportunity, so you kind of screwed yourselves.
It seems like something happened in-house. Like it seems like there's probably some kind of in-house fighting or something like that. Am I wrong for thinking that?
I mean, it would have to be, because you would think that they would be quick and swift about it if they were planning on firing him. They wouldn't wait like a week to do it. But then again, you never know with the Eagles. They've been kind of more or less like up until they beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl, they've been probably about the same thing as the Bengals for their entire existence.
Yeah, by the way, going back to transitioning back to the offensive line talk in the draft. I like Jalen Mayfield out of Michigan, 6'5", 319 pounds. I like the there's a lot of good offensive linemen in this draft, by the way. There are a lot of ones. And you say you don't like the one from Ohio State because all right.
I don't. It's not that I don't like. The guys from Ohio State are very. There's a lot of potential there, right? I definitely think that from a prospect perspective, I don't have any problem with the guys from Ohio State. But after Billy Price, it just kind of it seems like a disaster waiting to happen,
So you don't like what? So you would pass Wyatt Davis.
I would personally pass on Wyatt Davis, but it's not that I would pass on Wyatt Davis. I think, like I said, I would go get Trey Smith. I would maybe take a look at Landon Dickerson. If he falls to the number 38 pick, I think is that what we have? The number 38 pick? Whatever pick we have in the second round. If Elijah Vera Tucker falls, or even Creed Humphrey, then I'm down with taking them. But if you're gonna go tackle in free agency and guard in the draft, then you don't need to take a guard with the number 5 overall pick. I don't know if it's the most likely thing in the world that they would fix the offensive line by next year. I'm just saying, if they do, then like I said, if they had a better offensive line this year, there's a real possibility they could have been 13-3. I already ran down this in the previous episode. So that is a real thing that could really happen. I don't think it's going to happen, because I think it's going to take more than, just a simple offseason to fix the offensive line completely. But if you do completely fix the offensive line, I think this Bengals team is as dangerous as anybody.
Yeah.
But I think we've probably done enough talking about the Bengals. That's quite a bit to talk about, and we have a whole offseason to really talk about all these projections and stuff. And that's all we really have for the Bengals right now is projections because there's no games to talk about because we screwed up this season. But we do have the Browns to talk about. And oh boy, did the Cleveland Browns make a statement last night. We're recording this on Monday morning, Monday afternoon, by the way. So the Browns made a statement. The Browns ended the Pittsburgh Steelers 48-37. And for last night and today, we are all Browns fans. I ain't going to stay a Browns fan, but I'll be a Browns fan for right now because that was awesome.
Oh, yeah. I wish I had some tea right now. I should be sipping my tea. I first of all, I was just up all night making TikToks and trolling
I saw that.
Steelers fans.
Yeah, I saw that.
Secondly, I am just like, all right, let me just say this. Steelers fans, I need to say this. It's about time y'all shut the hell up. Like, this is just the ultimate humble pie for Steelers fans. Like, y'all need to shut the hell up. Keep in mind, like, I don't know where to start. Should I start by roasting the Steelers or should I start by talking about Baker Mayfield? Which one should I go with?
Let's start talk about the Steelers. We're already on the topic.
Yeah, let's roast the Steelers real quick. You guys, Steelers fans, you guys are the most arrogant pieces of shit on this planet. I'm so fed up with y'all. I'm so fed up with Steelers fans. That is feel like I got a lot of Steelers fans that are friends, including my brother who was also a Steelers fan. But I'll tell you this though, like I said on our second or third episode of the podcast, Steelers fans who are born and raised in Ohio are the worst fans on earth because you guys are just Steelers fans to troll Bengals and Browns fans. You're not fans of the Steelers to support the team. You're fans of that team to troll. Well, suck it. Y'all can't troll anymore because the Browns have beat y'all in the playoffs, and they beat y'all in the playoffs for y'all doing the same thing that y'all been doing for the last 20 years. Y'all troll until the person that y'all troll came up and kicked your ass. And that's what happens. That's what happens when you talk so much shit. All that shit comes back on you. You're embarrassed on national television Sunday night in front of the entire country. And you guys are made to look out the villain. And that's what happened last night.
I'm gonna piggyback on what you're saying for a second because this is what happens in general. Like I've compared it quite a bit to as a Bengals fan, watching the Browns beat the Steelers the way they did last night feels a lot like. And actually, I talked to a Dolphins fan, and he confirmed that I've got the right idea here. This is a lot like being a Dolphins fan and watching the Titans beat the Steelers. It's almost identical because we kind of we kind of got them kicked off on this. The Washington football team was the first team to beat them, but they're also a better team than I think their record was. But the Bengals, I think, were really the team to really highlight how broken this Steelers team is when we kicked their ass on Monday Night Football with Ryan Finley. Y'all got beat by Ryan Finley. Don't forget it, okay? Because we dealt the first blow. The Browns just dealt the fatal blow. You're done.
Yeah.
Go away.
The thing is, though, if y'all go back and watch our prediction episode, every single thing that we said pretty much happened in that episode, which is great because happened in the game. Because I said the Steelers lost 4 of the last 5. Steelers lost 4 of the last 5 coming to the playoffs. Ben Roethlisberger looked old. I said that. He did have 500 yards, all his 500 yards, but the reason why Ben Roethlisberger had so many yards is because, one, the Browns secondary is softer for one, but two, the receivers, he have a lot of playmaking receivers who he just throw quick routes at. But if you look every single time Ben Roethlisberger throw down the field, it reminds me of when I tore my labrum. And when I tore my labrum, if I were to throw a baseball or dodgeball or anything, like my first 4 or 5 throws, I'd be okay. But that 5th and 6th throw, my arm would start to tire and it just didn't have the same stamina that it used to have. And it was just impossible for me to gain that stamina because I had a torn ligament in my shoulder. And it seems like something similar with Ben Roethlisberger, his elbow is not the same. His elbow is not the same. You can see that every single time he tried to throw deep passes, he cannot do it. Now the Browns did prevent offense in that second half, but he cannot. Ben Roethlisberger could not throw that ball down the field, and that was the problem. Now, Juju, I'm not done with you. Juju, you got to shut the hell up. You look like a fool. You look like a clown right now. That's what you get for talking smack on on a whole fan base, on a whole city, and a whole group of people. And this is just what happens. Like, this is what happens. Ain't no, what do they say? No start, no stuff, don't be no stuff. Well, you start some stuff, now there'll be some stuff. Last thing I want to talk about is or the other thing I want to reach on is Baker Mayfield. Is that we see my biggest fear coming to this game was can Baker Mayfield get his first playoff win? And a lot of young quarterbacks, they struggle with that first playoff win. And a lot of times when teams win their first playoff game, they don't win their first playoff game because of their young quarterback. Sometimes they win their first playoff game in spite of their young quarterback. And Baker Mayfield played a really clean game yesterday. 235 yards, 265 yards yesterday, and 3 touchdowns. And just look at the things that he did well. He had pressure in his face. He did a great job getting the ball out of his hand. He didn't turn the ball over. He converted on big third downs. He made big throws that throw you through the Nick Chubb, that throw you through the Jarvis Landry, that set up that throw that he threw to Nick Chubb. Baker Mayfield did such a good job of keeping the team calm, keeping the team focused, keeping the team energized. Baker Mayfield silenced every single one of his haters yesterday. Every single one of them. There's not a single hater out there. There's not a single Baker Mayfield hater out there that there's not a single Baker Mayfield hater out there right now that had any material right now to knock this guy. Because he did everything he asked for. And for him to have that performance, without his head coach, for him to have that performance without any practice, for him to have that performance with all that stuff stacked against him, with a team that had tape on him, and a team that he played a week before, and this was his very first playoff game. Baker Mayfield shown out. And I cannot hate. You cannot hate what Baker Mayfield did. You just can't hate. So my respect for Baker Mayfield is tenfold. Man. Dang, there's so much to say. I'm like, nah. Okay. One more thing, and I'll let you talk. You go. Give me a second.
No sacks.
So you go.
No interceptions.
No sacks.
263 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's what Baker Mayfield put up. This is your franchise quarterback, Cleveland. Get off his back.
Seriously, you're not like, come on, man. You're gonna be very hard pressed to find a quarterback that can put. No, I ain't saying there aren't quarterbacks out there that can put up that performance, because there are. Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, maybe Joe Burrow one day. But the list is very short. The list is very short. Ben Roethlisberger had 4 interceptions.
I think you also should give a little bit of credit to Kareem Hunt, right?
Oh, I was going to. I just had to stop because I had so much to talk about.
Okay, well,
yes. I was going to talk about him.
Well, let me say what I mean. I'll let you say what you mean. But just real quick, I want to highlight the fact that Kareem Hunt didn't really get a lot of opportunity to do a lot against the Steelers. He had 8 carries. Mm-hmm. So they didn't really give him a lot of opportunity. But, man, when they did, he brought it home. Like, he made it happen. Like, when they handed him the ball, he went and did the thing. They didn't hand him the ball a whole lot. Maybe they should have handed it to him more, and maybe y'all would have won by even more. But on the 8 carries that he had, he got 2 touchdowns and 48 yards. That's like 48 yards. That's not like an amazing stat line, but when you think about the fact that he only carried it 8 times, that's still pretty damn good. That's 6 yards per carry.
Yeah.
That's on the higher end of what you expect out of any running back. Like, if you're getting 6 yards per carry, then you're going to get nothing but first downs. Like, I mean, you're going to get 6 yards, and the next play you're going to get a first down. You get 6 yards, next play you're going to get a first down. Eventually, you're just going to go all the way to the end zone like that. They only gave it to him 8 times, but point is 6 yards per carry is more than what you want out of a running back.
Oh yeah. Well, part of the reason why he was able to be so efficient was because of his because he was teaming up with another running back in the names of Nick Chubb. There was 2 tweets that caught my eye last night. I tweeted last night that Kareem Hunt or the Browns are up 14-0 and Nick Chubb barely touched the ball. And that's the thing about Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt were both at full powers. And when you have both of those weapons, it seems like what the Browns are trying to do is trying to have a heavy doses of Kareem Hunt in the first half and a heavy doses of Nick Chubb in the second half. And they did a great job of just keeping they did a very great job of keeping the Steelers guessing yesterday. Mary Kay Kazman of the Cleveland Plain Dealer tweeted out yesterday that Kareem Hunt is running like he's trying to go to Kansas City. Keep in mind, it's the old team. And I remember there was a video, somebody who likes to drink, occasionally like to dabble. There was a video of Kareem Hunt this past year, and it's always stuck with me about Kareem Hunt. This past year, he said that he got pulled over by the cops because he was a little bit tipsy, and he may or may not have had reefer in the car. And he said that, man, like my old team was in the Super Bowl, and I had to sit here and watch them on television while I did not go to the playoffs. And an athlete just don't say that randomly. Like an athlete just don't say that randomly. Like when you're a competitor, like stuff like that keep you up on at night. And he's probably thinking, man, like I can't believe they would. He probably still was connected to all his friends, the Kansas City Chiefs. He's probably, him and Travis Kelce. They're both from Cleveland. They both know the area very well, so they had some form of connection. So he's probably sitting there thinking, man, like those are my friends, those are my brothers, and they're doing that, and I really want to be there. And we talk about how certain things can motivate athletes to do extraordinary things, and I think this is one of those things that motivated Kareem Hunt to be extraordinary. And Kareem Hunt just had a hell of a game. That was the best game Kareem Hunt had all year. And I think he's going to have a hell of a game on Sunday. We're going to get into that next on Thursday, but I think Kareem Hunt is due for a huge game on Sunday. And Jarvis Landry, you also got to give a shout out to Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry, he always been a tone setter. Everybody needed a receiver that's a tone setter. Our receiver, Jarvis Landry, is a role model and a tone setter for our team. Their receiver, Juju Smith-Schuster, is a talker. That's all you need to know. Go Browns. And Nick Chubb's a beast.
Nobody.
And Rodney Harris is a beast. Rodney Harris, you are a beast, Rodney Harris. Shout out to
nobody likes Juju Smith-Schuster right now. Like, I think Steelers fans are sick of Juju Smith-Schuster and his bullshit.
Yeah, they are.
Like, it's just like there got to be something in the air up there in Pittsburgh, because you got these receivers who come in and they seem like these great guys at first, and then over time they get a little cocky, and then you end up with AB being AB the way he is today. And then you got what's his name, Juju Smith-Schuster. He seemed like this guy who's really got his head on his shoulders, and it seems like he's really a pretty chill guy. He's the kind of guy who, in general, I think Bengals fans would be like, oh, this is a pretty. This is one of the Steelers players who's he's all right. But I mean, just this year, man, it's just been like he's been talking all this trash that he can't back up. He's been dancing on logos, and he eventually got smacked for it. I mean, like, he's hurting the Steelers right now, and if they don't move on from him, they're going to have a problem on their hands.
I don't look, man. But honestly, though, is Juju Smith-Schuster any more disrespectful than? Like, I just realized, it's the AFC North, man. Like the teams at AFC North are so disrespectful, man.
They can't be.
Every single one of them. And this is kind of a segue, but you know what I mean? Like, did you see what the Ravens did in that game against the Titans? Did you not see what they did?
What?
So Ryan Tannehill throws the pick, right? The Ravens, a whole defense, runs to the middle of the field, the 50-yard line, and dance on their logo.
No, I must have missed that.
Like, it wasn't like they had to intercept the ball probably at like the 30 or 40-yard line, or like there was a distance to where they intercepted the ball to where the logo was, and they picked that ball off, went to the center, and then danced on that logo, stomped on it, did the crip walk, did the Juju Smith-Schuster, peed on it, disrespected it, laughed on it, got a flag, they still laughed, and then walked out of there with a win.
What a bunch of assholes.
It's funny though.
No, that's funny. That's hilarious. But you see, the difference is Ravens backed their shit up, and they also did it after the fact. You know, whereas Juju Smith-Schuster's out here talking shit before games, dancing on logos before games, before he ever did dance.
Oh, he also danced. He also did gesture to the Brown sideline in the middle of the game while they were losing. By the way, so he's a freaking idiot.
He's not very smart, is he?
That's why I had no problem. Usually I don't like it when players throw dabs at other players on my team. Jarvis Landry was in the locker room and he did the Juju Smith-Schuster dance, or the Corvette dance, and then called Juju the P word, the kitty cat. and yeah, he kind of had that coming. So yeah, yeah. You got anything else in this game you want to talk about? Because I got no complaints. Defense, maybe you get Denzel Ward back in your secondary. You get Denzel Ward back in your secondary. You get what's his name? You get Kevin Johnson, and hopefully we get Greedy Williams with some practice. Greedy Williams has been activated off the list, off the injury reserve list. And you have some offensive line help. Your offensive linemen, they're just bruised and banged up, but they should all be ready for next weekend. Plus, you get Joel. What's his name? Oh dang, what's the name of the offensive lineman who missed the game? He's like a Pro Bowl offensive lineman. He missed the game. Joel Petonio. Yeah, so you get him back. So you get all those people back next game, and you get Kevin Stefanski. And one more thing I want to say before this game is that I didn't expect. The reason why I was so confident in the Browns going to this game is because even though we didn't have our coach, one thing that always I knew that Kevin Stefanski, I knew how smart and how organized this coaching staff been. Kind of revolutionary. They went for it. The Browns are going full analytics this year, if you haven't noticed. So what they did was they hired a lot of coaches, like a huge team of coaches. The Browns have one of the biggest coaching staffs in the NFL. And every one of them are responsible for each thing. So Alex been helped to do that was to take a big responsibility as call plays. Wasn't outside the realm of possibility for him because he worked beside Kevin Stefanski all year. So I had the utmost confidence in him. But on top of that, I just like how organized the Browns were, and I knew that Kevin Stefanski, at the very least, he could drop a great game plan for the week, and he'd make sure the team have a great game plan. And one of the Browns offensive linemen said that that this week of preparation was like a mini bye because they had so many days off. They were able to rest and everything, and then they had 2 really good practices. And those 2 really good practices made a difference because they already knew what they had to do, but they were able to rest, relax, get their bodies right, and they were able to come out fresh on Sunday. So I don't know, maybe maybe the Browns just found a secret formula that they didn't even know about. But I am very appreciative of what the Browns did. Man, what a game. What a freaking game. Go Browns. Suck it, Pittsburgh. And all your fans. That's for all of y'all, man. Man. Oh my God, that felt so good. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to the AFC North, man. That felt so good, man.
We got one more segment to do before we get to the AFC North. But one thing I want to say before we're done talking about the Browns is I just want to say what an absolute shame it was that y'all let him come back in the second half.
Yeah, that was going to happen.
No, right. I mean, I'm not saying like I'm not trying to take anything away from the Browns necessarily.
No,
I just think it's a shame because the final score doesn't really reflect how lopsided
how
really
lopsided it was. Yeah, I mean, and even still, even if you take away that last touchdown that the Steelers got in garbage time, because Steelers got that last touchdown.
Yeah,
the Steelers got that last touchdown in garbage time. And like that last touchdown garbage time made it they made it within a touchdown. They made it within 10 points, 11 points.
Yeah.
And I you take that touchdown away, the Browns would have won by 17 or 18. So I just think it is what it is, but that run by Nick Chubb, I think I dreamt that run like the next day. Like I had a pleasant dream about that run, that little pass that Baker threw to Nick Chubb. Because Nick Chubb was just walking the whole game. Nick Chubb was just pacing around the sideline, ready to go. And he just you can never say enough good stuff about Nick Chubb, man. You can never that dude, man.
That is good. Although, okay, so our next segment, we got to talk about the underrated player of the week before we get to the AFC North. So I'll let you go first on this one because I don't have a Bengals. I'm going to chime in because I don't have a Bengals underrated player, but I'll let you give the actual award and then I'll tell you who I think it should go to.
Rodney Harris, no doubt. Rodney Harris made some good plays on that defense, especially early. He was all over the place. He made that trade that we made with the Jacksonville Jaguars all the worth it. He is a great safety. I'm very excited about him going forward. Him and Denzel Ward are going to be a great combination next week. We're going to need to make plays because stopping Patrick Mahomes is going to be a hell of a task. Looks like Samuel Watkins Jr. is talking smack on Twitter. We see how that goes. But Rodney Harris, man, definitely Rodney Harris. I really enjoy Rodney Harris. So I got to say Rodney Harris, our safety.
So I'm going to cheat a little bit on this one.
Okay.
So my underrated, I'm just going to call it the underrated award because the guy I'm going to give it to isn't necessarily a player. And maybe okay. So I got an actual player in mind, but I at least want to take a second to talk about Kevin Stefanski. Right. So
yeah,
super underrated because he wasn't there. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It can't possibly be less thought about when you didn't actually participate in the game. But holy crap, you want to talk about how Kevin Stefanski has helped build this Browns team into a team that can overcome this kind of adversity, like without even having your head coach and one of your most important edge rushers, without et cetera thing in this game, the Browns still managed to overcome all that and not just beat the Steelers, not just squeak one out against the Steelers and, in a game that you could argue, oh, well, the Browns got away with one. No, they came out and they made a statement without Kevin Stefanski. Kevin Stefanski put the right pieces in place from a coaching perspective to give the Browns the, direction that they needed to go get this win. Without Kevin Stefanski, the Browns aren't, first of all, in the playoffs. And second of all, the Browns aren't making this kind of impact in the playoffs. And so, even though he wasn't actually there for the game, I think Kevin Stefanski deserves credit for this game. And And that's kind of why I call him underrated, because he's not going to get any credit for this game because he wasn't there. And I think he deserves some credit for this game because of what he's built.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I agree.
so if I have to pick an actual player, though, if I don't get to cheat,
no, I mean, I like that Kevin Stefanski idea.
well, okay, so then that's who I would get. But if I wasn't going to give it to Kevin Stefanski, I think I would give it to Carl Joseph.
Okay.
I think
I
he'll
like
get
that. I was
plenty
thinking
of.
that.
I think he'll get plenty of credit for that fumble return for a touchdown that like started the game, which was awesome. But there was so much more that he did than just that. You know, he was a backup safety. First of all, he wasn't the starting safety, and I think the starting safety was playing. So he's a backup safety who had a fumble recovery for a touchdown, but also recorded a hit on Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger didn't get sacked during the game, but he was part of that pressure that, kind of made Ben Roethlisberger made some questionable decisions at times. He only recorded one tackle on the day early in the game, so his stats just kind of look like shit when you actually look at it. But he also he didn't really let a lot go in pass coverage, and the Pro Football Focus grades hadn't come out yet when I did my prep for this game, but let's actually see if the Pro Football Focus grades have come out, because I'm curious. They have come out, so I'm curious as to see how he graded out. But if I had to bet, it's probably better than you're expecting. So let's see. You got
no.
Carl Joseph graded a 73 in the pass rush. So that's pretty damn good. He was actually the best pass rusher of the team. Like nobody graded better in the pass rush than your safety, Carl Joseph.
Well, I mean, keep in mind they did double and triple team Myles Garrett.
Yeah,
this is just unheard of. Yeah, I mean, you didn't have Lydia Vernon, so you didn't have your Robin to your Batman.
Apparently, he graded as a 49.6 in pass coverage, which kind of crazy to me because he didn't really let a whole lot go. I mean, some of the biggest plays in pass coverage were Carl Joseph being there to make sure a pass was incomplete or something like that. So I kind of question that, but
yeah,
he's actually one of the lowest graded team players on your team, 52.8. But I think he deserves. I mean,
if you watch it
higher than that,
yeah. If you watch it, the eye test is definitely different, though. I mean, if you watch that game, you wouldn't have thought that. Yeah. No, he was definitely all over the place. He had a hell of a game.
Actually, interestingly enough, another guy who I was considering for this award was Porter Gustin, and he actually had the second highest defensive grade on the team, so that maybe would have been a good thing. But I think this is a true underrated player because I think Carl Joseph played a lot better than his 52.8 overall grade.
Oh yeah, definitely. He everywhere. Kid was everywhere. Bring the energy, man. Shout out to you, Carl Joseph.
Right.
Yeah. Shout out to you.
So, that's my thought process on the underrated player of the week. But who did you say you gave it to?
Oh, Rodney Harris.
Rodney Harris. Okay. So that's who gets the award this week. But my thought process, I think Carl Joseph deserves consideration, and I think if I'm allowed to cheat, I'll give it to Kevin Stefanski.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would definitely give it to Kevin Stefanski. Man, what a great coach. We are so lucky to have him.
As far as the state of the AFC North goes, we don't really need to talk about it a whole lot. We already talked about the Steelers and how they're headed for a rebuild, and I think it's time for the Steelers fans to admit that they're not going to be top dog anymore. And if the Bengals can come out of their rebuild at the right time, then I think the Bengals and Steelers can switch places just completely. Yeah. Like I said, this could very well be a Bengals-Browns division going forward for the most part. And we'll see exactly how it happens. But I think that is a realistic thing that could really happen. As far as the Baltimore Ravens go, they beat the Tennessee Titans. It didn't look like they were going to for a minute, but they pulled it off, and Lamar Jackson now has a playoff win to his resume, which was something that I know was hounding him. So I know he's got to be happy about finally getting that monkey off his back. Now let's see how he does this coming week against the Buffalo Bills. I'm sure he'll do fine. I don't know how the Ravens are going to do because that Bills offense is insane. The Bills, weren't always perfect against the Colts, but they got it done, and I don't think there was really too much worry that they wouldn't get it done at the end of the day. I'm gonna say that's definitely going to be a real test for the Baltimore Ravens. Now I know the Bills only won 27-24, but at the same time it was really more of an issue of the Bills defense having trouble slowing down Phillip Rivers.
They got some really good cornerbacks on that team in Baltimore.
They do have some good cornerbacks, and we'll see what they can do going forward. But anyway, I think that is going to do it for this episode of the Battle of Ohio podcast, guys. I appreciate you listening to.
Thank you, guys. Go Browns. Suck at Pittsburgh.
Browns are making this interesting. Browns are making this fun, and look forward to seeing what you guys are going to do in the long run. As long as the Bengals are also able to fix their shit, we'll see what happens with them. But as of right now, the Browns can go to bed very happy knowing that they knocked off the big bad boy, and the Browns are going to play in another playoff game this week. They are going to play against who is it? The Kansas City Chiefs.
The Kansas City Chiefs.
Boy, you want to talk about a test. We'll see what happens there. But anyway, thanks for listening, guys. I'm Kyle. You can find me outside of this podcast. You can find me at Kyle Phelps 92 on Twitter, Facebook.com/The Phelps. You can find Thomas at T_94, T_star94 on Twitter and Instagram. And then he's got a YouTube page called Blowdown Page, comedy videos, all that fun stuff and whatnot. So thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch you next time. And, I'll say it this time. Go Browns.
Go Browns.